Evening. How we doing? How we all doing this evening? Let's have a quick listen and see if that's okay. Just gonna make sure everything here is all good. And we should be good to go. We'll let the chat build up. I'm just doing a chilled live stream tonight. Wait there. We'll have a listen. Yeah, no, that sounds perfect. Yeah, it's just a chilled one tonight, guys. No camera, no anything. I got the upgraded version of StreamYard, so I want to mess around with a few things. I will see what's happening. It's just a quiet one tonight. It's not a long one either. It's probably about an hour or so, give or take. I even had to recycle that thumbnail. That's how little prepared I was. I had to recycle an old thumbnail that I was using prior. I think that was for the Fury Usyk one. I was like, I better just, I better have something to chat on. That sort of way. So we get a few people in the chat and we see how the evening takes us. We see where the evening takes us. So shout out to Armchair Warrior. Shout out. I was wondering would the comments come up, because I'm trying a few things out here on StreamYard. So I have different backgrounds, right? So I have this one here which shows the YouTube link and which shows the Twitter link. I can go back to the original, but I don't like that. Look, it's all tagged with ads. Look at that. Live with StreamYard. Yeah, I think I'll keep it at this. I think I'll keep it at this for the time being. Big up to Armchair Warrior. Big G Mania. Yeah, man. That's what they call me. Big G Mania. Yes, mate. What's popping? Ain't much, man. Ain't much. It's Friday night. There ain't much happening. There's not a lot you can do, because I would say you could be getting ready to go pubs, but in Ireland they close them at 8 nowadays. Well, they're closing them at 8 till the end of the month. Shout out to Limo. Big up to you every time, my man. Big up, G-man. Big bad boar meat. Yeah, they blamed it on the boar meat. They were eating large amounts of it. The Mexican beef. It's weird, some of the kind of things people will say. It's weird. But we do know, that's what I said in that video I done on Fury, saying Usyk was the steadhead. I was like, of all the people who should not be accusing someone of being on something, it should be Tyson Fury. Of all the people, the definition of the saying, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Usyk slaps AJ silly in the rematch. I agree. I think AJ, at the minute, he's really not filling me with confidence. And I don't think anyone really should look at AJ with confidence going into this rematch, because he just seems all over the shop mentally. He seemed, to me, it's like he's overthinking things. And it's like he's got this game plan in his head, but he's not even sure about it. Like, 1 minute he's talking about going to war. Okay. So he's talking about going to war, putting it on Usyk, and, trying to, force, put it on Usyk basically. And the next minute he's saying that Usyk was the better boxer on the night. He won more rounds. So I'm going to win more rounds. It's like, so what? Are you going to box with him and try and outbox him? Because that didn't work the first time. So for me, when I listen to AJ speak about, the Usyk rematch and this, that, and the other, and when I just see him in interviews, there's something not right there. He seems just a bit off, and I think that anyone watching, really, anyone looking at that shouldn't have confidence with AJ going into the rematch. I mean, like, I remember the Ruiz scenario, and you looked at that first fight, and you just saw the mistakes AJ made, and you just knew if you could rectify them, box a bit more, don't engage Andy Ruiz. I mean, Andy Ruiz loves it when a fighter stands close to him, loves it when he has a chance to exchange on the inside or up close with fast hands, quick combinations, especially if AJ someone with the longer arms, because Andy Ruiz with the shorter reach, when it gets close, his punches are going to have a lot more, but they're basically going to be able to travel. They're not going to have to travel as far. He's going to be a bit more comfy on the inside. So with AJ, it was just a case of keep him at range. Ruiz is not a good mover. His feet are slow. So that's all you need to really do. Hey, G-man. Is that like legit? Is that the legit Ali Drew? I doubt that. But shout out to Ali Drew every time. Blame it on the Mexican beef. Big up to Iceman. Shout out to you, my man, every time. Yeah, big up to Postman Pat. Where's the piss bottle? Right? It's over there, as they say, as the intro says. Best £5 I ever spent. It's a Friday night and it feels all right. It's a Friday night. Oh, what a night. Yeah. Oh, what a night we live in. Oh, what a world. G-Man got the bag. I wish, man. I wish. I love the way Tyson boot like equates like me giving him a fiver every now and again as like having the bag. Like, seriously. Fury. Man, you see, with Fury, right? When Fury contradicts himself and, basically does like say things like that, like for me, I don't read too much into it because that's like it's part of his character now. Like Fury is the guy who said, he's been on to Conor McGregor about training him for an MMA fight. And McGregor comes out and says, I never spoke to him in my life. So if Fury was respectful towards Usyk and AJ, I'd be like scratching my head being like, what's wrong here? There's something not right here. With Fury, that's just him, and I don't read as much into it. When someone like AJ starts contradicting himself a little bit and stuff like that, then I'd be kind of like, Then I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Eubank Williams card looks strong. Finally going ahead, February 11th. Yeah, I've seen a few people make out that was Sky more so that was a really strong undercard. I want to have a quick gander at that undercard because I think I only seen one other fight other than the main event. Let's have a look. See, they made it out that undercard was really, really strong. It's not pay-per-view. I know that. It's just on standard Sky. So what do we have? Caroline Dubois making her debut, and look at all the red next to her opponent. Harlem Eubank, Steve Robinson. That's people were asking me about him, and I didn't remember. That's the heavyweight who fought on the Eubank Ting undercard back in October, it was October. He didn't look particularly good to me, and he looked old. Well, he's not that old, but he looked older than he actually is. He's 31, but he looked older than that. He really did. He looked older than that in that fight, man. Just the facial features. Reese Edwards, Samuel Etwi, Clarissa Shields. Look, Chris Jenkins versus Ndongo. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's Ndongo. I mean, if ever there was a champion, like Ndongo, to his credit, was a former champion, beat Ricky Burns, beat Trojanowski in less than a minute. That was a weird knockout. That fight, Julius Ndongo versus Trojanowski, that was on Sky Sports. It was in Russia. I think it was on the undercard of Lebedev Gassiev. And it was such a strange knockout. And Ndongo brought in as the opponent, threw one left hand, and it almost looked like he just threw it open. Landed bang on Trojanowski's chin, knocked him out cold. But yeah, it's going ahead. It's going ahead. It's still, hang on. Yeah, it's still listed as being in Cardiff. So I wonder what's happening there. I have heard that Wales are going to be easing back. So maybe you'll get full attendance. I'm surprised. Watch the space for now with Cardiff. We're how many weeks out? It's the 15th now. So we're 3 weeks out as of tomorrow. So we'll see. You go up to GT and Nordic Warrior. Shout out to you, my man, every single time. Representing Scotland. Big up to you, my man, every single time. Thanks for turning me on to Punch Perfect Boxing. Yeah, Jamie's a legend. Jamie is an absolute legend. I think I seen him in the chat there a minute ago. I just don't like missing I don't like missing other people's chats, but Jamie is a legend. And thank you for the £4.50. Appreciate that. Every little bit helps, my man. Every little bit helps. Big up G-Man. Shout out every time in the chat. Yeah, man. Appreciate him coming on the channel. He's had me on a few times, and it's always good fun. Jamie is one of them guys where he's just such a cool guy. You can just sit back, have a chat with him. And, it's a shame we've never met in real life, but hopefully I'll get over to London at some stage in the coming months and we can meet up in real life. Go for a drink or something. A big up to Jamie, Punch Perfect every time. Covers the amateur scene better than anyone I've seen. Like, I do like amateur boxing myself. I don't religiously watch it. I would know a lot of these guys in the amateur scenes, but I wouldn't know it anywhere near the level of depth that Jamie does. I mean, fair play. He really does know his stuff when it comes to the amateur game. Really does. Really does. Liam Williams training with Harlem Eubank, they say. Is Harlem Eubank? Oh, yeah, isn't he trained by Adam Boot? That's weird. Imagine being in the same camp as your brother, and you're fighting his brother. I mean, it's weird. If AJ owes, yeah, I think so. If he goes all out, he's getting stopped. I think that AJ himself doesn't really know. AJ, he's really not filling me with confidence. And I said it with Jamie was a Tuesday, me and him did a stream together, that AJ getting the new trainer could be too little too late, but it also could have another issue in a sense of AJ potentially could get with a new trainer who works actually quite well for him. But going into the Usyk rematch, I'm not picking him to win. He may very well lose, right? He may very well lose. And he might turn around and think, you know what? If it ain't broke, I shouldn't fix it. I should have stayed with Rob McCracken. That's what I'm worried about. That's the kind of thing that I'm worried about. That AJ may actually decide get a new trainer, and rather than give him a bit of time and work with him, if he loses to Usyk, he'll just say, should have been loyal. Rob knew I would have won. If I would have done better maybe if I'd been with him. It's crazy. G-Man, in the scenario where Fury doesn't lose a run of himself, if Fury and AJ fought instead of AJ Klitschko, who would you favor? With regards time frame, mate, like are you kind of saying that like they would have done potentially AJ Fury in 2017? I think if AJ and Fury fought 10 times, I'd pick Fury to win the majority. That's the way I put it. I'd pick Fury quite heavily the majority of times. That's not to say AJ can't win. I think he definitely can. But I think the majority of times I'd pick Tyson Fury to win. And I think that if Fury hadn't have gone off the rails like he did, it's an interesting one. I think that maybe Fury needed to, like, I don't think Fury's legs are the same as they used to be. But I think that, and I see the comment there, 2017. If it'd been 2017, I think he would have, that's just the diffuser finishing. I think he would have beaten AJ, yeah. I think he would have. I think AJ, we may look back in years to come, mate, and we may say the worst thing that happened to AJ was winning that IBF title from Charles Martin, because essentially it halted his development. I know we had a couple of easy fights, you know, the defenses against Molina and, you know, Brazil and all that. But like realistically, he did have to step up a year later, fight Klitschko, fight Takam, fight Parker. He had to step up very quickly. Whereas in 2018, he was going through unification with Joe Parker. If he'd have gone a different route and maybe gone the European road, he could have had that maybe, you know, chin check in one of them fights, come through it, been a bit stronger. And then maybe in 2018, fighting for a world title against whoever, might have been Joe Parker. We could have seen a much better AJ. And I think we might have missed that. I think at this stage now, we may have missed AJ really hitting his best. Jermaine Johnson, big up, man. Yeah, R.I.P. Tyen Boots gay uncle. R.I.P. Tyen Boots gay uncle. I like how all, because I think they know he can't really do anything else, mate. I think I think they know he can't do anything else. Like, he ain't going to beat Oleksandr Usyk by boxing. If he does try and put it on him, there's a very good chance he gets himself knocked out and early. I really don't know why. And to be honest, with AJ in the UK, chances are he'll have some officials on his side who let the odd foul go. You know, they'll ignore that. Fury is the perfect mindset for boxing play games. Start too early does my head in, though. Yeah, and you get the impression that he would get to AJ mentally as well. I get that impression that he'd be able to kind of mess with AJ mentally and be able to kind of rile AJ up and wind him up like that. I honestly have no idea how grown men can fanboy over immature man-childs cherry picking like cowards. Yep, I agree. Usyk is everything a champion should be. He is dignified, family man. You know, doesn't get roiled, lives the life, consummate professional. Usyk is just, yeah. I mean, Usyk is a great example for a champion. And I don't like, I always hate it if someone says fanboy. Like, I try and keep it as fighters I like as fighters in terms of watching them. But I now, if put like this, Josh Taylor is someone I like watching. If he needs to be criticized, your boy gonna criticize him. Big up to Adrian. Thanks for all the content, G, man. Man, it's fun. It is fun. I like doing this. You know, appreciate the £2 as well. Appreciate that. But yeah, no, it's fun doing this. I like doing it. I just don't get as much time to do these streams as I used to. You know, I just don't get. I used to be able to do these all the time on a Sunday, and I was thinking of hopefully getting this Sunday. Definitely, I want to try and get back to it, keep them a bit more regularly. I miss the Sunday lives. Yeah, that basically made his career. Yeah, it was just an out of the blue left hand, wasn't it? If you remember, he just literally just threw it and try and just walk straight into it. It was so sudden as well. I mean, I remember her. Was it? I forget who was commentating. I think Andy Clark was commentating on that fight, and it was just like done. And that fight was over less than a minute in the first round. Chavin Clark. Ring some bells on here. Hang on a second. I'll probably recognize this guy, but the name just doesn't ring a bell. Chavin Clark, the British boxer. Oh, the cruiserweight, 31 years old. Turns pro with Matchroom. Let's have a look-see. Not as familiar with him as I am others. But who has he fought as an amateur? I know BoxRec doesn't always give you the full spiel. He lost in David Nyeka, the Commonwealth Games. David Nyeka, I wonder is he signed with Matchroom? Because he fought on a Matchroom show there, and he's a very, very promising young pro. Very promising. Very impressed with David Nyeka so far. You know, remember him in the amateurs, looked very good. And Eddie Hearn hasn't been signing. Has anyone noticed this? Do you remember after Rio 2016? It seemed as if every amateur who was turned pro with Matchroom. Apart from a few who went with Queensbury or Michael Conlon. I know Mike Conlon wasn't GB, but it seemed as though they all went to Eddie Hearn. Whereas now it's like everyone's looking around for everyone. You know, you got Probellum getting a lot. Probellum are doing very good things, getting a lot of these guys. Probellum are definitely doing a lot of good things, getting these guys. Shout out to Joe Stunner Boxing every single time, man. How many subs has Joe Stunner got now? How many subs you got, Joe? Because you've been doing quite well. You've been getting the content out. Where's my feed? Joe Stunner Boxing. Let's see. Try and get Joe up as many subs as we can. 184 subs you got now, mate. So just Joe Stunner Boxing, type that into YouTube. See if we can get him up to even close to 200. Big up to you every time. AG man in the chat. Missed how everyone's doing well. Missed the live streams. Yeah, I missed them too, man. I missed them. I was home and none of my friends are doing it. And so I said, why not? Why not? Get Katie Taylor on here. I don't know. Don't know if she'd come on. I've never even spoke to Katie Taylor anyway. Usyk been training through Chris. You see, that's another thing about Usyk, and the thing you can't compare to him and Ruiz. Usyk will train 24/7. You know, he trains all year round. He's a consummate professional. Ruiz enjoyed it being a heavyweight champion, but he enjoyed it from an aspect of eat all the pizza and the Snickers I want and come in even heavier than you're normally used to coming in. You know, Jesus Christ. Usyk will win, in Ali Drew's opinion. I'm pretty sure that's not the real Ali Drew, by the way, if anyone's looking at that. Yeah, shout out to Blue Collar Sports TV. Big up to Del Boy. Every single time. Oh, wait a minute. Had to get that on sooner. There we go. Yeah, big up to Blue Collar Sports every time. Shout out to Del Boy. One of the best. And Disturbed Reality. I love Disturbed Reality. I was binge watching a couple of your videos there during the week, mate, and it was just fun. Like, what was the 3 guys, 1 hammer? That's pretty messed up, that story. That story is messed up as hell. I remember watching your first video on that at the time, and I rewatched it there the other day, man. That story is messed up. But that 1 guy, 1 jar, that was just so funny. Like, I know Dale tends to do a lot of gore videos, but mate, that was like hilarious what happened. Like, I know it's not fun, but like that guy is just a degenerate at the highest order, what he did. And go over and look at Disturbed Reality. It's got over 100,000 subscribers, so you know. Yeah, big up to CRB. Dear MRFC Fury isn't fighting white, never was. So you don't think the white fight's going to happen? Well, yeah, I got to give you credit. You were right. You were 100% absolutely spot on Fury versus AJ not happening. 100% spot on. And that's making me think now, because CRB's predictions when it comes to fights happening and not happening have been pretty spot on. I'm kind of at a loss now with AJ or with Fury versus Dylan White. We'll wait and see what happens. I know that there's bids due this week, so we should get news. But if CRB doesn't think it'll happen, I mean, he was telling me for the longest, right, that AJ versus Fury wouldn't happen. And I was kind of going back thinking, no, it probably will. Well, I was wrong. I hold my hand up. I was wrong there. Chisora wants Deontay Wilder, and I hope the people close to him don't. You pick Chisora over Wilder, Nordic. I think Wilder would land on him pretty quickly and take him out. I really don't see Chisora winning that fight. Even though Wilder's been through the mill the last 2 fights, I still don't see him winning that fight. I really don't. I don't see him winning that fight. Could be wrong, but mate, I just can't see it. I cannot see how. Chisora's punch resistance seems a bit gone now at this stage, mate. Only chance AJ has is to put it on Fury early. Fury forget boxing. He's too good to win. That's the one good thing you could say, right? Is that Fury was able to develop the kind of Kronk style. Maybe in 2017, he wouldn't have even looked at that as being a potential style. And maybe AJ could have walked Fury down potentially. Doesn't have the mindset to jump on Fury from the start. Wilder did and still lost. And you see with AJ, I get the impression that if the game plan goes astray, he'll start to question in the ring and overthink. He really does overthink a bit. You really notice that when you sit down and listen to him. There's a lot going on in there. But sometimes I think too much is going on, if that makes sense. Like he's thinking too much about, I need to do this. But if this doesn't go right, I need to do, and then that sort of way. Styles may fight. AJ Fury never fought anyone like AJ Fury. Is a decent boxer. Everyone knows how to use his heights. Who knows how to use his heights, I should say. Yeah. Do you know what? It would be quite interesting now to see how it would go, because I don't think Fury has the legs he used to have. It'd be quite interesting now. Jared Anderson versus Dubois. Who do you got? That's a good one. Right now, I'd probably lean towards Big Baby. Dubois, I'm still not a bit sure of after the Joyce fight, because he fought that guy on the Jake Paul undercard who was nobody, and then he fought Bogdan Dinu, who's like, I mean, him and what's the guy's name, Malik Scott, who has the bigger heart, answer on a postcard, but they're both quite small, so you can't. I don't know. I'd probably say Anderson I've been very impressed with. So I probably would side with Anderson slightly. I could be banking too much on him, though. Can Vlad sue, since the Mando was meant to be 820, but Vlad paid for a rematch clause, never got it? I'd say if he would have done it, he would have done it by now. I'm sure Fury retiring, because he did retire briefly, if you remember. Maybe that avoided it. I'm sure there's kind of legal things. He would have done it by now, I'd imagine. AJ has one card to play versus Fury. Try and KO him early. Yeah, if you could, lads and lasses, smash the like button, please. Help your boy out. Help the channel get to 10K before the end of the year. That is the goal. That's the goal. 10K by the end of the year. We can do that pretty easy, I reckon. AJ comes out slow and box well, forgets about it, gets embarrassed, maybe KO'd. Oh, yeah, this right here. Yeah, that. Is that tattoo? If anyone wants to let me know in the comments, is that tattoo real? Like, did he legitimately pay someone to put that on him, or is that just one of them? That's a kind of temporary tattoo that comes off. Do you know what sort of way? So the way some of them like get tattoos that like they're there for a day, they wash off, they look real, but they're not. If that's legit, then Myris Breedis is an absolute clown for putting that on. Absolutely. And why are you calling out Jake Paul? You're never going to get the fight. He's never going to fight a legit crew. He's not going to fight like Tommy Fury is not a world level boxer, right? It's not world level. So him fighting Tommy Fury, yeah, that's fine. It's a fun little fight, and I'm sure it might actually be quite good because they're both not amazing. Like Jake Paul's all right. He's in terms of like for someone who's not been boxing very long, he's all right. But for what the hell? And like Breedis talking about going to heavyweight a couple of months ago, didn't happen. Lawrence Akali, where's you could be calling out Lawrence Akali, not happening. Going up to heavyweight and saying, you know what he could be doing? He could be actually going and saying, do you know what? I want to go to heavyweight and fight Usyk. Do you know why I want to fight Usyk? Because I did a better job with Oleksandr Usyk than AJ did. And arguably, some people had Usyk or Breedis winning the fight. He could say, here, AJ, look what I did against Usyk and look what you did. No comparison. I done much better. He could be using that. But no, he's calling out Jake Paul. Really. Like, really. Even G-Man. Could Broner beat Ben? No, I don't think so, man. I think Broner's done. Man, Broner's last fight, did you see that last fight? He looked terrible against the janitor. I think Broner's finished. And I don't rate Conor Benn as high as others do, but he's a good fighter, Conor Benn. He's improved, but he'd beat Adrian Broner now. Definitely. Klitschko got complacent for the Fury. Carry on. The WBA let him fight for the vacant belt because he had a contract to fight for the belt. That screwed. Yeah, it did. It absolutely screwed Luis Ortiz because Luis Ortiz was WBA mandatory for a while, man. He was WBA mandatory for a long time. He was interim champion for quite a while, and then he's been for a while, man. He's been a while now. G-Man gonna go far, bro. Always knew you'd hit 5K. You're smashing it. Big up, man. Big up to Jake every time. Yeah. The 5K was a nice little one. I have to say that was nice when I hit 5K. That was nice. And we got the 6K pretty quick. 3 months. It's not bad going. For a boxing channel as small as this, because I'm obviously not as big as Hatman and Ade, they can get subs like in the hundreds real quickly. But Luis trains in Taco Bell. Yeah, he wasn't. Man, anytime. Don't worry about it. Again, Joe Stunner Boxing. If I'd known you were in the chat, I would have put it on the banner, like the subscribe logo, as it says subscribe G-Man Boxing. What's up? Yeah, big up to Blue Collar Sports every time. G-Man, did I ever box? I tried to. No, whatever it seemed like, right, I stopped boxing really just before, probably about March 2020 was when I decided enough's enough. Because fights were falling through. I was having bad luck with, fights not happening. And I was just struggling with consistency. Because I never really had I love boxing, I love training, I love sparring, but I just couldn't. I guess the stars just never aligned. They never aligned for me to box. But yeah, I tried to box at middleweight. Could do that fine. Whenever I get close to getting like anyway decent. Like I was meant to fight April 2020. Obviously, we know what happened. Then December 2019, that got binned. There's talk about going into the Leinster Championships here. Prior to that, that didn't happen. And it's just a lot of crap luck, pretty much. It's a lot of crap luck, but it is what it is. I always kind of figured I was never meant to box amateur or pro. That was never meant to be for me because it just seemed like it just never meant to be. So maybe that's why I do YouTube instead. At least I can say I know what it's like to get in the ring, and get hit. It's not fun. Well, it's not that bad. Actually, it's not that bad getting hit. Getting hit in the body hurts a lot more than the head. Getting hit in the head doesn't hurt at all. It's not that bad. Usyk would be Fury. That's a good one. I mean, that's a tough fight for Fury. Make no mistake, but it's also a tough fight for Usyk. It's a good one. Dale's Q&A got real personal real fast. Yeah. I wonder, I'd say Dale, ever since Disturbed hits 100K, I would say the chubby chasing has shot through the roof for him. I'd say that's the first thing he says. I'll get you a burger, and have you seen my 100K plaque? And I'd say he is getting no shortage of what. Shout out to Dale every time. Ed Gein, one Disturbed guy, used to eat people in the... Yeah, no, I've researched Ed Gein. Oh, I've researched him as well. Ed Gein is... I'm pretty sure, right? Has anyone ever seen the movie Waterboy with Adam Sandler? if you've ever seen the movie Waterboy, I'm pretty sure the mother-son relationship between, I forget the name of the character, Adam Sandler. What's her name? Is it Betty? No, what's her name? So I can't remember the character who played God Almighty, what's her name now? That's gonna bug me. Waterboy. What's the girl's name who played his mum? Kathy Bates. That was it. Yeah, if you ever watched that movie, right, the relationship between Bobby Boucher and his mum is quite. I think they modeled it off Ed Gein and his mother, because literally when Kathy Bates's character is saying women are the devil, that's literally what Ed Gein's mother was like in real life. Everyone's the devil. And it was a real case. Apparently, Ed Gein murdered his mother. Yeah, he did actually. No, he murdered his. No, did he? Yeah, no. I think she died a natural. He murdered his brother actually. Yeah, it was brother he murdered. I think his mother just died of natural causes. But it was. I reckon they modeled that off that. But Ed Gein done some fucked up shit. Absolutely messed up stuff. I mean, I remember there was once. Was it the deputy's mother or his sister or wife or something, like deputy sheriff? And Ed Gein's story about how the basically murder took place, and he subsequently ate her actually after he was a cannibal as well. Basically, he was in a gun store or something like that, and he said the gun went off and killed her. So he said, rather than report her to the police, I'll just take her home and eat her. Basically, he was messed up. Was Ed Gein? Leatherface. Leatherface is after Ed Gein as well. He's messed up, all kinds of messed up. AJ's mentally shot right now. Leads a long break. Yep. I think you're right. I think you're right there, mate. I don't think I don't know. I just think AJ. I just don't think he should be going into this rematch. And I think that Eddie Hearn probably just thinks, the hell with it. I want my money. And maybe it's a cash out. And maybe he's worried about AJ losing again. That's why he doesn't want to, let him go. Because maybe he's worried that if I go AJ, let him go down the rebuilding road, how do we know he won't lose again? Which is a good point. He might lose again. You never know. Love how random Q&A videos are, because people ask funniest, most random questions. Yeah, no. That's what they're here for. That's what the chat is there for. The chat is there for any questions. It can be boxing, but anyone can ask. You can ask me anything. I don't mind. That's what the chat's there for. Anyone on here eating brains of an animal? Well, I don't think I have anyway. Actually, I missed like a super chat from CRB. Shout out to you, man. Sorry about that. Fury signed to ESPN is the issue. No one knows who White is. Yeah. I was just thinking about that as well. If you had Fury and Wilder can do big numbers in the US in terms of, what's the word, filling the stadium. People know Wilder. They don't know who Dana White is. ESPN can't do a fight middle of the day Saturday due to NCAA tournaments and the NFL draft. The Aston done one as well. Shout out for these, man. Appreciate that. Hearn using AB's name. No way they can make the fight. I would say they probably are, to be fair. I'd say there's a good chance they are probably using it, because Adrian Broner, they'd have to offer him an absolute rake of cash as well. Like, he's not going to fight Conor Benn for pennies. Who wins? Jake Paul or Lennox Lewis? What now? Lennox Lewis probably still batter him now. I'm going for Chisora to win. Really? There's a few people going for Chisora to win. I actually think Chisora can get inside and care with Wilder. Wilder has power, but he's not very strong. Yeah, no, I can see where your point there now. I can see your point. But fish brains. Yeah, I do like fish. Anyone seen? I seen that. Yeah, I seen Chisora on that. It was weird. Like, he thinks AJ's beating you. Yeah, I got the impression he was saying a few of them just to be different, just to kind of bit of fun, sort of way. I seen the interview with Simon Jordan on TalkSport. What we got here? Who you got? Cannerbrook. It's a good question. I'm kind of in two minds over who I got. Like, if this fight had happened in, say, 2014, 2015, Kell Brook, he'll eventually catch Amir Khan onto something. Today, I don't know. I have an idea, and I'm probably going to do a prediction video closer to the date, but I don't know. I don't know, man. That's the honest. Like right now, I don't want to spoil it for a prediction, but it's a tricky one for me. Again, like 2014, 2015, Kell Brook by knockout. And Amir Khan has always struggled to get in the way. I think he has a better knack at seeing the southpaw left coming than the orthodox right. That and hooks. Hooks bother Amir Khan definitely as well, but so do straight rights thrown from the orthodox stance. But Kell Brook, I mean, he looked terrible. And even though you could say, right, Amir Khan was saying that this fight is, what's the word? It's 149 that benefits Kell Brook. Kell Brook would struggle to do 151, 150. So much less 2 pounds. Oh yeah, by the way, I meant to read that. Is one now who's shot and chinny. Who's basically shot her? That's the question. Who's basically more shot? I actually reckon Kell Brook might be more shot than Amir Khan at this stage. Neither guy has really lived a life. Amir Khan has blown up in between fights, but Kell Brook, I mean, the stories I've heard about Kell Brook, I mean, we've all heard the stories about Amir Khan, but some of the stories I've heard about Kell Brook, damn. Damn. 10K easy, not long, and I'll catch him. Man, if he keeps staying with the zone and not doing as much on his channel, I'll catch him. And if he decides to leave the zone, there you go. I'm in. It's real. Oh, good Lord. It's actually real. Man, like, he's got to have to live with that. Like, I mean, you got to live with that. Like, I like Breedis. Don't get me wrong, I do. But Jesus Christ. Real, and he got that tattoo is real. It's legit. Holy shit, man. I was offered Kell Brook ticket. Whoa. I don't know. I wouldn't pay that. Who wins, Joe Smith or Yard? Joe Smith. I think Joe Smith wins. If I'm wrong, so be it, but I think Joe Smith Jr. wins. I do. Brown has been garbage since he moved to his natural weight class. He's pretty much been done since the Maidana fight. He's never been right after that. And a lot of that could be to do with the fact, yeah, he is fighting more in the natural weight class. Yeah, best cruiserweight in the world right now, getting a tattoo of a YouTuber. Good Lord. Oh, I'd say they don't give two shits. Honestly, I would say they couldn't give less of a shit, to be honest with you. I would say they could not give less of a shit. Yeah, shout out to Unrivaled. Big up to Mark every time. Mark, great channel. I missed the vids, but I know you're busy. But shout out to Unrivaled every single time, man. Big up to you. Every time. I'm kind of leaning towards Khan with the catch weight and the rehydration clause. Do we know for definite? Oh, wait, there is actually, isn't there? Isn't there like... I think there is actually. It's really down to who's more shot and how drained Brook is. Yeah. I'm telling you now, man, right? It will be fun. It will be fun to watch because I think both these guys are going to touch down at some stage. I really do. I think both these guys... I agree with you about punch to the head or punch to the body. Yeah, they do. I mean, like, I got hit with a few body shots and literally it felt like my whole body just stopped. My legs just stopping. But getting hit to the head, it's just kind of like a jolt. It hurt more when I wore new head guards. They hurt more to the head. I got an Everlast head guard a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago now. And the first time I wore it, I had to take it off in sparring. And the coach was like, you have to wear it. And I was like, it's hurting me more with the head guard on because it wasn't worn in. You need to sit on a head guard. And I didn't sit on it. I just put it straight on. But you really do need to sit on a head guard to break it in. And the head guard was literally hurting me more. And it was adding to the shots. And even when I wasn't getting hit, it was just like really, really sore. I couldn't believe how sore it was. And I was like, I got to take this head guard off. It's really hurting me. So once I broke in, it was fine. But it's a worry if fighters are wearing them head guards because the jolt from them head guards could, like, even a lot of the foam is very soft in them. And you do feel that like when you wear an old battered head guard, yeah, it might not be giving you optimum protection. But you really notice it when you wear that and you put a new one on. The jolt you get, it can't be good, man. It can't be. Long term, anyway. Maybe if you're only sparring now and again, yeah, it's fine. But if you're wearing them long term, I can't imagine the jolt you're getting from them headshots are going to be good. Pick up the boxing sauce as well every time. Worst body punch I ever saw was a guy named you ever took, I should say, almost vomiting. Yeah, man. They're no joke, but they hurt like hell, man. They really do. They hurt like absolute hell. And the worst thing is, right, is that you give it like a minute and you're absolutely fine. You're ready to go. But when you get it, it just feels like absolute hell. Yard or Dan Aziz? Dan Aziz impressed me. He really did against Jose Burton. I expected him to win, but not like that. Not like that. Him against Yard be interesting, man. Be interesting. G-Man, who's the best chin in boxing? Triple G has a very good chin. Canelo's got a very good. I think Triple G's chin is probably still the best at this. I mean, that guy, Marius Whack as well, for a heavyweight to take shots, right hands from a Klitschko, a pretty much prime Klitschko. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, that guy took them right hands from Klitschko, the right hands that nearly knocked AJ out cold. He took them like, just because someone is not a great fighter and Whack isn't a great fighter, it doesn't mean that they don't have a brilliant chin, because he has an absolutely. I remember David Hay when he was sparring Marius Whack for the Tyson Fury fight, which obviously never happened. He was saying, and it's David Hay. David Hay would be quick to boast if you could hurt someone. He was saying you literally need a bat to hurt Marius Whack. That guy will just take it for fun. Was partly inspired for the serial killer Silence of the Lambs, not Hannibal Lecter. Was it? There was another one that he was based on, though. I can't remember the movie. I'm pretty sure. Who was it? Oh, Leatherface. That was who it was based on. Sorry. It was the movie Leatherface. That's who I think he was based on. R.I.P. my boxing career. Be safe. Yeah, R.I.P. G-Man's boxing career was over before it started. How good a win is it if AJ wins? It's a brilliant win. It's an absolutely brilliant win. Because to come over all them mentals, I don't think he can do it. To be honest, I don't think he can. Would you say Tyson Boot had any ability and could have gone further if he was disciplined enough? Yeah, go watch him against Eubank. He was doing all right. And Tyson Boot, did he have ability? He did. He wasn't the biggest puncher in the world. He was a bit negative. Was. But if he had discipline, if he had actually managed his career properly, he wouldn't have won world titles, but he could have mixed it at British level. Definitely. At 154 pounds. He was more 154 pounder than it was 160. Well, he could have done something. But as he said himself, women, Echo Falls, all that good stuff. Yeah. And now as he said himself, he makes more money talking about Coogan, giving MJP stick, bringing up Shannon Courtney than he does from anything else. He's got the bag, yeah. Be safe. Got clipped by Wade and Oleksandr. Takaloo. You've honestly no interest in it? I don't know. That's actually a good point. That's actually a very good point. Usyk's chin is underrated. Yeah, we don't really. Yeah, Usyk's chin is a good point, and as well as that, that's actually a very good point. And I did forget about him. Usyk has a very good chin as well. Never been down from headshots. I think he was dropped by body shot in the amateurs, but never down from a headshot. Stopped standing when he was 15, 16 or something like that. When he was in Ting. So yeah, man. Yeah, man, definitely. Usyk is great. Usyk has a good chin as well. As we looking at the whole Chisora Wilder thing is her taking the piss. They'll never put that fight on. I could never see them putting that fight on. But yeah, Nordic, you're both disappointed in. I don't know, man. I reckon it'll be a good. I reckon we'll watch that fight, right? And we'll have a good laugh at it. We'll have a good laugh in the post fight. I'll probably do a live watch along as well, or will I? Yeah, no. The live watch along for that might not be as straightforward. I'll have to get a good stream that I know is sturdy, because that's the risk you take with one of them. But yeah, he got badly stunned by a Crawford jab. Yeah, I'd say he is shot to bits. Been shot his whole career. Yeah. Yeah, good few people are picking. They're picking Amir Khan. Special G versus Papadam Chin. Yeah, that is it. Literally Special G, Kell Brook versus, and we know what G means. I'll never forget that WhatsApp recording. When I heard that the first time, I was literally like, what is this? And that guy, you could tell, knew Kell Brook well in that record. You could just tell. I mean, I was listening. I was like, what is this? Never forget. He could, if Kell Brook is shot, and Amir Khan, could you imagine the trolling? Amir Khan will have a field. Oh, you mean a Prime Brook? I thought you said in this fight. I read that wrong. Oh, yeah. No, that was the comment before. I must have just clicked off it. Yeah, he could. The trolling would be endless. But yeah, I reckon a Prime Brook would have. I think he would have knocked Amir Khan clean out. If the zone end up buying BT Sports, we might get. Yeah. We might, although Frank Warren might decide to go and he might decide to go and do something elsewhere. But that's big news. Like if the zone do acquire BT Sport, Premier League football, and you have Champions League football, that's going to be good. I think BT Sport do Bundesliga as well. Pretty sure. Yeah, no, they do Bundesliga as well. So that's a pretty big deal if they get that. He went from being a Latvian national treasure to a stain on society. I mean, I'm sure he'll regret that. I'm sure he already does regret that. That was a stupid thing to do. Really needs the devil. That was the best probably we've ever seen. Khan was in that fight. He looked very good in that fight. He was very good in that fight. So he was. I hated wearing headguard, but it made sense. Yeah, I didn't mind it, but that Everlast headguard, which I don't have anymore, thank God I got rid of that. That was hurting like hell. Why did he get that? A full? Yeah, I don't know, mate. Like it, I couldn't tell you, man. It was bizarre. Why would you sit there? Well, you have to pay. His tattoos aren't cheap for the most part, anyway. To go and pay for someone to put that on you, that's never coming off good. Well, you can get it off, but it looks like crap. Bizarre. Yo, what you think for Conor Benn next? Don't think he's ready for Avanesian. Well, they're talking about putting him in there with Maurice Hooker, which I think is a good little fight. And I think that if he wins, if he loses, you've lost to a guy. Like Eddie Hearn will sell it that's a legit world level fighter. His only losses have been in a unification and against Virgil Ortiz, arguably world level fighter. So why not just take a risk with Maurice Hooker? Don't put him in there with Guerrero. Jesus. Career was anticlimax. Yeah, that Buglione. He was winning that Buglione fight. He was winning that fight, and he got stopped at the 12th round. And he never really did anything thereafter. They tried to get him in with Anthony Yarde in 2017. Team Yarde didn't want that. In hindsight, seeing how bad he deals with pressure, maybe Yarde should have taken that fight. Team Yarde should have taken that fight. Yeah, he took Gassiev as well. Gassiev can crack with the best of them. So, yeah, Usyk's chin is good, man. I guess and Joe Joyce. Yeah, Joe Joyce has a brilliant chin as well. I mean, that guy he just takes it. Joe Joyce is one of them guys where, like, he isn't, like, mentally he could drain. Like, him against AJ be interesting because if AJ couldn't hurt Joe Joyce, AJ is in a world of trouble. Because Joe Joyce would just keep coming at AJ, and AJ be like, oh, mate, I can't. I think AJ would capitulate quite quickly against Joe Joyce if Joe Joyce could take his power and really put it on him. I wondered about Big Pharma's chin. I always wondered, because Big Pharma always struck me as someone who could take a good shot. But I wonder, is that the fact that Big Pharma has a good chin, or is that the fact that he was always juiced up to the eyeballs? I wonder about him. I do wonder about Big Pharma. 48 in the chat and 24 likes. People, if you could be so kind, smash the like button. I don't need it, but I'd appreciate it if you could get the likes up a little bit. It helps the channel grow, as the saying goes. The YouTube algorithms love it. They love the likes. Fury got the best chin. I wouldn't say that. He's definitely got good powers of recovery. I would imagine that was partially his choice because realistically, like it was a voluntary, so he would have been entitled to a rematch. I suspect now that he just probably decided, look, I'm not going to do the weight anymore. So he knew that. Look, he obviously knew that he could go up in weight, and he obviously knew that going down in weight, even if he could beat, he probably would beat Kiko Martinez in a rematch. Decided no, and I'm sure Eddie Hearn was thinking as well. Josh Warrington makes more money. Let's give Josh Warrington. I'm telling you now, Eddie Hearn will be batting for Josh. That's why I'm amazed that Josh Warrington didn't take the rematch, because Eddie Hearn would be just, Josh Warrington is the star. So Josh Warrington would have got favorable treatment. You know he would have against Kid Galahad. Parker versus Joyce. I'd pick Joe Joyce to win that fight. Yeah, I'd pick Joe Joyce to beat Joe Parker on points. On points. Jokovic. I'm surprised, man. I'm surprised he took that fight. I am surprised he took that fight, I have to say. I'm surprised he took that fight. Well, they're saying he's accepted it, but it's going to be interesting. I'll favour Hrgovic, and I wonder if Hrgovic will be able to get up for that fight now. I reckon he will, but we'll wait and see. But I reckon Hrgovic will beat Tony Yoka. I wasn't aware that Yoka was going through a divorce. I wasn't aware of that until I think it was Base the Kid made me aware of it in one of his videos. I know Yoka's wife, ex-wife now, was they were on about her fighting Katie Taylor. So I wonder how Yoka is, everything that's going on. But I think that, look, I'll read that in a sec, but it's a good matchup, don't get me wrong. I can certainly see a case where Yoka wins, but I think that Frail Hrgovic will beat him. British fight Collie as quick as he can. He's getting old. Yeah, he's the wrong side of 30 now, isn't he? Simon Jordan should be interviewing for IFL instead of Cooks. Savage. Yeah, big up to Simon Jordan every time. They had that absolute fool, Robert Smith, the British Boxing Board of Control on. Remember that? Conspiracy theory. Did Amir Khan put it in Bud's head to sue Crawford? I actually saw someone type that. I'd say Crawford is just peeved off with Bob Arum. And Bob Arum did an absolutely shocking job promoting Terence Crawford. He did an absolutely shocking job. I mean, this is a guy who was telling people, this guy's costing me money while still promoting them. I mean, what kind of promoter does that? The fact that he's paying him a service, like he's getting money off Crawford, and he's saying those things, absolutely shameful. But Bob Arum, we know, even at 90 years old, he's an absolute you-know-what. Bob Arum. Bob Arum is not a nice guy. Ask Mike Coppinger. I will never forget. That was hilarious when Mike Coppinger, when he said you would still have the Cambosis fight, or the Cambosis Lopez fight, if you paid him what he wanted. Shut the fuck up. Smashed it. Appreciate that. Yeah. Get the likes up. Hit the like button. A New Way is a good show as well. If you are taking now, I know Nonito Donair's most powerful shot at 118 is his left hook, but he can still bang with that right hand. Make no mistake about it. If you're taking shots from Nonito Donair and you're staying on your feet at 118, you have a good chin. You have a good chin. And flush shots too, without cutting the landing any cleaner. You can take shots from Donair at 118 and you're still standing and still fighting. You have a good chin. Beating Donair in that manner. That was a great fight. And the fact that Nonito Donair was able to win a world, because that was a grueling fight, and to beat Nordine Ballet, I mean, Nonito Donair is great. He really is. I love Nonito Donair. He's a hell of a fighter. Hell of a fighter. Seen Miller back sparring recently. You can see Miller turning up on Triller cards. Yeah, they probably will get Big Pharma on the Triller cards. They probably will do that, actually, to be fair. Because they don't really seem to give a you-know-what. They'll probably put anyone on if they thought it would make them any money. They thought it would make them any money. So, yeah, Big Pharma. He is due to come back. The ban, I think, is up now. Imagine that. But we'll wait and see. Big Pharma's looking heavy. Look, he was always a big unit before the ban, but he's looking even bigger now. So God knows what he's weighing, and God knows what he's going to be like. Seriously. Is that the real? I'm just curious. Is that the real Ali Drew? I doubt it, but Hrgovic beats Yoka. Well, isn't Hrgovic his own fighter? Josh Warrington beats Galahad easily in the rematch. Yep. That's why I was amazed they didn't take it. Like, they should have just took it. He would have beaten him. Yeah, wouldn't have done great numbers, but like, what's better, getting knocked out by Mauricio Lara than having to rematch him? Does Conlan have a chance against Lee Wood? Yeah, he's awkward. Yeah, but I think Conlan is grossly overhyped, grossly overweighted. He is a bit awkward, but I think Lee Wood has improved. I think he's going to batter Michael Conlan from pillar to post. Yoka smashes him. That's interesting. If we get, like, here's the thing, right? Yoka has been in much better shape and he's been a bit more active. He's been fighting. Yeah, look, they're not amazing fighters. He's been fighting your hammers, but he's been fighting better opposition than what that Radonic guy. I mean, you're telling me Yoka couldn't beat him in clinical fashion? He could. And I think that Hrgovic has been lowering himself to the level of his opponents, and he's just not been looking as good. That Kiko KO was savage. Yeah, man. I mean, it was just... I remember watching that at home and just kind of... I was looking at that and I was thinking to myself, this is so routine for Kid Galahad. Will I even bother doing a review? Because it's just so routine for him. I was like, will I bother? And then that landed and I was just like shot to life. And I was like, oh, damn. That escalated quickly. Cougs doing interviews are cringe. He's able to get a lot out of Eddie Hearn, though. It has to be said. That's one thing I will say about Cougs. He's the only one who can really get Eddie Hearn to open up. So I will give him credit for that. I don't know if Eddie Hearn would be as forthcoming with Umar, IFL Umar, or someone like that. I think he'd only do it with Cougs. Hopefully Herc smashes Yoka. I'd say he probably will. You think Crawford did everything he could to promote? You think he did everything he could to promote Crawford? But Crawford's born as a plank of wood that can't be filled. Yeah, he's not a trash talker. Is Terence Crawford? He's not one. It's weird. Like, I mean, like, I can kind of see where you're coming from there. Maybe it's the fact that none of the fights got made. Like, he wanted the Pacquiao fight, never got made, but we never saw Crawford really putting it and, going and, he called out Pacquiao, yeah, but he was never kind of like really good. I remember when they were talking about Lomachenko at one stage and Bob Arum was like, that's suicide for Loma. The size game, shout out to the size game. I don't swing that way, but you look cute. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've been told that lots of times. I suppose Irish girls were fucking... That's why I don't... Irish girls are nice, yeah, but they're not exactly all there. For most of them, anyway. Coogan's a crap. As I said, he can get more out of Eddie Hearn than anyone. Is worried that getting cashed out and replaced by Josh Taylor. Yeah, Josh Taylor. Well, Josh Taylor definitely has done a lot better at... Well, he's done a lot more at 140 than Crawford did. I know they both won undisputed, but Crawford's guys were not. They weren't at it in the right home belt. That's a good question. Crawford or Thurman versus Barrios. It's a good question, mate. What's left for Keith Thurman? That's the question. It's over 2 years out of the ring. He's had it'll be nearly 5 years since he beat Danny Garcia by the time he sets foot in the ring against Barros, right? And in them 5 years, he's had 2 fights. 2 fights in 5 years by the time he sets foot in the ring. 2 flipping fights. Thurman should win. He should win the fight. But how much has he got left? Realistically, if this is Thurman anywhere close to his best, he should win the fight. He should. If it was one time, he should stop him. But we don't know if we even have one time anymore. What's this Daniel Jacobs versus John Ryder fight next? Jacobs in better shape than versus Gabe Rosado. I reckon John Ryder will win. If this is Danny Jacobs anywhere near his best, then Danny Jacobs should win. But he looked bad in that Rosado, but he didn't look good at all. So we'll wait and see. Bob stole Manny Pacquiao's title, gave it to Crawford. Got his hometown advantage, numerous fights with ton of promotion. Do you remember when they done Victor Postal versus Crawford on pay-per-view at a unification, and it done something like it tanked, done something like 50,000 buys, didn't even hit 100,000, I don't think. And I don't think he done a pay-per-view after that until, when did he do a pay-per-view? I don't think he done a pay-per-view after that for a while. Might have been the Kell Brook fight. It was the Amir Khan fight was when the next pay-per-view I think he done was. It was a while. Kambosos versus Haney or Kambosos versus Lopez next. I would say, put a guess on who, I would say probably Haney next. If I had to put a guess, I'd say probably Haney next. See, the problem is he wants that in Australia. And I don't know many people who'd be willing to travel to Australia, because Australia is an absolute joke of a country these days of what's going on there. Absolutely ridiculous what's going on in Australia now with getting in and this, that, and the other. And, I don't know if either of them, they might say, yeah, they'll travel now, but when they see the hoops they'll have to jump through, they might say, what the hell with this? If Collie moves the heavyweight, who do you see him in with his first couple of fights? Chisora. They're both managed by AJ, aren't they? They're both managed by, was it 258? So possibly, but I reckon Chisora is near the end. I reckon he's getting maybe a fight or two, easy kind of bye-bye fights and then gone. I always had an unpopular opinion on Crawford and think he had much potential in media. Crawford does seem like a cool guy, to be fair, but I don't know. I just... Maybe people didn't like the fact that he was a bit more quiet and he just kind of done it in the ring. Maybe some people just didn't like that. I don't know. It's a weird one. Because I've always liked Crawford. I always like watching him fight. What's the crack to Jim McDonald boxing? Hi, Elizabeth. How's Elizabeth? I'm going to say Conlon G-Man will beat Lee Woods. Well, if he does, then I'll say you were right. But I think Conlon's going to get stopped and battered black and blue by Lee Wood. That's what I think is going to happen. Kid Galahad must be really shot at the weight not to take the rematch with Kiko. Long way back at super feather for Galahad, considering he can't sell tickets. He's not a big ticket seller. Again, like this is the reason why it seemed to me like a no-brainer for Warrington just to take the Galahad rematch, get it over with. Galahad's not a big ticket seller. He's not a massive name. Josh Warrington, that would have probably been his first fight in Matchroom. Eddie Hearn signed into a long-term deal. He was obviously going to get the decision. Obviously, it was going to be in Leeds. He was obviously going to get the nod. So why the hell didn't he just take the rematch, get it done, over and done with, and then bigger fights? No, I'll get knocked out by Mauricio Lara, an unknown Mexican. Why in God's name are you taking a fight after all that time out of the ring with an unknown Mexican puncher? That has trouble written all over it. Trouble written all over it. You just don't do that. I mean, matchmaking, that was shocking. Absolutely shocking from Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and Team Warren, because they would have had to probably give it the okay as well. Shocking. And now we're ending up in a situation where he's fighting for a vacant title against the guy he beat 5 years ago, a vacant title that he vacated to avoid fighting the guy who won the vacant title and got knocked out by... It's an absolute joke what's gone on there. Yoka's style is not suited to face pressure from big men. It's not, no. He likes to throw opponents backwards at long range, pressure before coming close in his own terms. Yeah, I can see pressure fighters giving Tony Yoka a hard time. He needs to rough up Yoka's body, be all over inside 10. I'd be saying to Yoka go up to Philip Herbert's body because he's been looking fleshy as of late, and if he's losing weight, it's going to be interesting. Of course, I got to read that. Really like it. Yeah, it makes sense for both. If Ryder wins, big things ahead. If Jacobs loses, I mean, that really is it. I mean, we talk about the Triple G fight. That's 5 years ago, nearly. It's a long time ago. Doesn't seem that long ago, they would be fair. It seems like only yesterday I was watching videos in the run-up to that fight, because it was around about that time McGregor and Mayweather was being talked about. And it seems like only yesterday that was happening. It's 5 years. 5 years goes by quick, mate. Goes by flipping quick. You don't miss it. Win, lose, or draw. AJ has the best win resume in boxing. He's the biggest star in the sport. Fury has no good wins to date. Well, he's Klitschko and Wilder, man. They are good wins at the time. Say what you want to say. Like, I mean, AJ, yes, He's done more, and yes, he's definitely the bigger draw. Well, I'd say definitely Fury is. When Fury was AJ was at his peak, yeah, he was definitely much bigger. But I think it's more closer now. Heard a rumor of Shakur versus Kambosos. Oh man, Shakur's a good fighter, mate. Shakur's a very good fighter. I think Ryder might beat Jacobs, maybe even a stoppage. Ryder can bang. Late stoppage. I'm saying points. And it's going to be an Ali Pally. That's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing Ali Pally for boxing. I'm just so used to seeing it for the darts. It's going to be weird. Thurman cannot be at his best. No. He's not going to be anywhere near his best, mate. Anywhere near his best. Love your breakdown, bros. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, man. Can get inside. Yeah, I think John Ryder's going to win the fight. I do as well. You go into the Middle East, and it beats the West. I'd like to see some of those lads do 4-rounders on red. Some of them doing for it. Shot the bits. I didn't say he shot the bits, but he's definitely nowhere near where he used to be. A big up to Jeff every single time, man. Shout out to you, my man. Shout out. I've seen Eddie saying Breeders fights didn't happen because they're waiting on Breeders teams to make an offer. I think Cody fights Rivas in the summer. Yeah, that's the thing we need to bear in mind. They might decide with Lawrence Acoli just to go and do Bridgerweight, get him a shot against Rivas in the summer. He'll still have this, he'll probably still have a bit of an advantage over Rivas in terms of height and probably size. Well, he's a unit at cruiser. I don't know how he makes that weight. He's always there, ain't he? Donating. Yeah, big up to Ty and Boot. Every single time, man. Shout out to Ty FLTV. Big up to him. He's always there, isn't he, with the super chats, yeah? Donate. He's got the bag, ain't he? Jake Paul tattoo. I know, man. I know. The Warrington loving Leeds has faded big time. You think so, really? It looked pretty big. It looked pretty crazy at what was the place? Was it Ellen Road? No, it wasn't Ellen Road. What's the other one called? Headingley. Looked pretty big there. Not many people happy with the Kiko fight. Interesting. Yeah, mate, it's crazy, isn't it? It doesn't seem like it, doesn't it? Not. It's crazy. 5 years ago, man. That was a quick 5 years. I'll tell you that. I had fun in them 5 years. Well, I had fun in those 3 years because after you know what, there wasn't as much fun. But yeah, 2017 and 2019, I had fun in them years. I had good fun. A lot of fun those years. Which matchroom prospects do you think with best potential? I was going to say heavyweight out of the three. Oh, Jesus, mate. You're not made that easy. Do you know that? Babbage is going to get knocked. I love Babbage. I do. I like watching Alan Babbage. I think he's great to watch, but he is a knockout waiting to happen. It's just, he nearly got knocked out by that Spellman guy. A Spellman, I say. And that guy was not good. He is being fed. I mean, that really shows where Babbage is. I mean, that was bad, man. Babbage is going to get knocked out. Wadley is all right. I think they need to slow him down a bit. As for Fisher, not seeing enough of him. I've not seen enough of Fisher. We'll need to see him in. Like, he's going to be out on one of these cards. I think is he out on the Ali Pally card? See who they put him in there with. I would, honest to God, if I was in Johnny Fisher's team, I would take a risk and get someone like a Shondell Winters or a KO Kennedy in there. See how he does against one of them. G-Man, love you on the POD. On the podcast, you mean, mate? On the podcast, I think the POD. I don't know, man. I'm lost with that. The Holocaust era of boxing was pretty. Yeah, to be fair, they did get some decent fights in. They did. Some of them would have been nice with fans. Just for the atmosphere. Like, could you imagine the Povetkin White knockout if there was fans? Man, that would have been serious. That would have been sweet. Picking Rivas over a Collie. Rivas can definitely fight. Don't get me wrong. He's a good fighter. Him against the Kyle, I just wonder. See, Rivas is primarily a range boxer. He fights at long range. He's got a good jab, but he's only about 6'2", if even. So he'd be significantly at a disadvantage there, mate. That's the one thing I think of when I just think of Rivas fighting Lawrence Akali, that there would be a reach disadvantage that he'd have to overcome. And I don't know how he'd be able to do that. So we shall wait and see. How long have we been going? Just over an hour. I'm probably going to shut up shop here, lads. I'm probably going to call it quits for the evening. It was 5 to 11. I'll answer this one first. Does Liam Williams have a chance? I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. I think that him changing and going to Adam Boot, why? That style just does not make sense. Stylistically, they just don't gel. Or they won't. Well, I don't think they'll gel. And for me, I think that he would have given himself a better chance against with Dominic Ingle. I think Eubank Jr. is going to light him up. I think if he pressures, Williams can box a bit like he did against Liam Smith in the first fight. If he does that, he'll have a better chance. But for me, if he comes in looking to pressure Eubank's going to light him up. He'll light him up. Eubank on points. It'll be a good fight, though. It will be, definitely. But I got Eubank winning the fight. Will be fed to. Yeah, they'll do that. They'll probably try and do that. Babbage is like so much fun to watch. I do like what I love. Like people know, I love watching Alan Babbage fight. He is so fun to watch as a fighter. He really is. But he is a knockout waiting to happen if ever I seen one. If you want to give me one prediction for this year, it'll be that Alan Babbage gets knocked out at some point. Because he's just so defensively open and vulnerable. And he's so small for a heavyweight. And it's not like he's got amazing speed or world-class punching power or supreme technique. He doesn't have any of that. So in my opinion, he's getting knocked out sooner or later. And that's why I think they're going to scale him back big time. They're going to scale him back big time this year. So they're not going to put him in with any decent guys. And the problem with heavyweight is that most of them guys can punch. If you're 6'3" and you weigh 250, if you hit someone with your best shot, you're going to hurt them. You're going to hurt them. Even if you're not a noted puncher, if your land is clean and Babbage leaves himself, and Babbage bores in with a lot. Like he puts so much effort and torque into some of them shots that he ends up walking into shots and actually magnifying the shot that's being returned. So, yeah, Babbage for me, he's getting knocked out sooner or later, I think. And I like Alan Babbage, I really do. I think he's a cool guy. Seems a nice guy anyway. Good fighter, fun to watch. But he is going to get knocked out sooner or later. Definitely. I'm 100% convinced that he's going to get knocked out sooner or later. I just can't see it. But people, with 69 in the chat, if you could, actually 70 now, if you could, last time I'll ask, smash the like button, help your boy out. It does help the channel out. Just got 40 likes. If we could even get to even 50 likes before we finish up here, I'd really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. Just help me out, get the likes up, and we're good to go. Yeah, I seen that. Tony Yoka, yeah, that fight's happening. Hopefully. I guess in hindsight, it's a no-brainer. If you're Tony Yoka, you want to step up, as he said before. There you go, Filip Hrgović. You win. You're mandatory for the IBF. So I guess it's a no-brainer. I genuinely did think they were going to go down the road of fighting Bacoli, and they were going to stick with that. But yeah, look, him against Filip Hrgović, it's a good fight. I think Hrgović is going to win, but it's a very good fight nonetheless. So, look, I'm just glad we're not seeing him against Zhilei Zhang, because I really thought the IBF were just going to say, to hell with it, put him in with Zhang. Oh, would love me on the podcast to chat about boxing. Mate, I thought you were saying you love, like, my pod. I was like, what? Yeah, man, just go on Twitter, as you see there on screen. Twitter is @BoxingGman. Send me a DM. Send me whenever time. And there you go. You're good to go. You think Josh wants a third fight? What with Kiko? Probably not. Babbage versus Zhang. I'd probably still go with Zhilei Zhang, to be honest with you. Has a wrist injury, apparently, mate. Wrist injury that's been healing, so That's what the crack is with Joe Joyce. I am genuinely gonna end it now. I'm gonna figure something out to do for the next hour, and then go probably. Maybe I don't know. I have no plans for the evening, so I'll wait and see what the evening goes. Probably just gonna watch a movie or something. But skipping my question, what did you ask, mate? The positive nandrolone test was very circumspect. Somebody from Essex wanted Fury gone. You're implying Eddie Hearn? You implying Eddie Hearn, mate? Don't know. I don't know what. I did find the timing of it very strange. It was the timing of that was very strange. Like Fury was making them controversial comments, and then all of a sudden that happened. Oh, wait, you mean Lara? He ain't gonna want that fight. He ain't gonna want to watch that. He ain't gonna want that fight. No way. No way. He was the one for take out the division. 147 is always a tough division. It's always a tough division, and he'll have a hard ask. Josh Taylor is a great fighter. He really is, but it's going to be a hard ask. But people, I'm going to call it here. That's me done for the evening. So if you could, on the way out, smash the like button. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, please. And yes, unlike Dylan White's, which is bizarre. They don't mention that these days. But I'm going to call it here. Peace, peeps.